You show up clean, sharp, ready. But halfway through the date, she's already decided what kind of man you are. Not because of how you look, but because of the questions you ask. Most guys try to impress her. They ask what they think she wants to hear. They lead with approval, not intention. And the second she feels that, she puts you in the same box as every other guy she's filtered through 100 times before. But there's another way. When you speak with calm control, when you ask questions that pull her out of performance and into presence, she starts chasing your attention. She doesn't even realize she's qualifying herself to you, until she's telling you what she craves in bed, but only when she's with the right man. And it all starts with one question. Question 1. What's something you pretend to enjoy, but secretly resent? Here's why this question matters. Because most men ask questions to be liked, not to learn anything. They want to seem agreeable, easy to talk to, but all it does is signal one thing. I'll become whoever you want if it means you'll choose me. And the second she feels that, the game is over. You've already disqualified yourself, because she's not looking for a man who molds himself to her. She's looking for the man she can't quite read, the man who doesn't need her approval to hold his frame. That's why this question flips everything. What's something you pretend to enjoy, but secretly resent? It's not just a clever line. It cuts through surface-level conversation and forces her out of autopilot. She's not used to being asked something that real, especially not by a man who's emotionally centered when he says it. Because when you ask this calmly, without performance, she feels it. She feels that you're not seeking connection, you're testing alignment. She realizes you're not trying to prove yourself, you're filtering her. And in that moment, something shifts. She starts qualifying her answers. She starts wondering if she's enough for you. That's what women respond to. Not noise, not effort, but presence. Because the man who can ask a question like that without flinching is the same man who's perfectly fine walking away if the answer doesn't feel right. And brother, that's the energy she craves, even if she doesn't understand it. Now that she's been disarmed and the game has shifted into your frame, we'll turn the pressure just a little deeper. Question 2. What's the most emotionally draining part of dating for you? She's leaning in now. Not physically, emotionally. Because the moment you stopped trying to win her, she started trying to figure you out. And now you mirror it back. What's the most emotionally draining part of dating for you? Most men wouldn't dare ask this, not because it's offensive, but because they're afraid of what it reveals, that she might say what he already feels, and he's not ready to hear it out loud. But you are. Because when you ask this, something powerful happens. She pauses, she softens, she stops performing. Because now it's not about fun facts or favorite restaurants, it's about emotional reality. And here's what you're really doing. You're watching how she navigates vulnerability. Does she open up slowly? Does she blame others? Does she admit her own patterns? Because the man who's emotionally grounded doesn't just listen for red flags. He listens for emotional calibration, for ownership, for depth. This question isn't for her, it's for you. It tells you who you're dealing with. It shows you if she's carrying resentment, weaponizing her past, or constantly testing men to protect herself. And when you stay calm, when you just sit back and listen, you're doing something that shakes her. You're not reacting, you're observing. And that's what separates you from every man who's ever tried to impress her. Most guys are afraid to make her uncomfortable, but you understand something deeper. A little emotional pressure reveals a lot of hidden truth. And when she answers, if she answers, she'll feel more exposed than she expected. Not because you pushed her, but because you held space she wasn't used to being seen in. Now she's wondering if she's said too much. And that's exactly where the shift begins. We're not here to fix her past. We're here to see if she's still controlled by it. And what comes next will tell you everything. Question 3. What's one thing you've outgrown, but used to chase? By now she feels something different. She's not being entertained. She's being seen. And when a woman starts to feel that, she stops trying to impress you and starts revealing where she's still unsure of herself. Now you guide that energy deeper. What's one thing you've outgrown, but used to chase? This isn't small talk. It's memory, it's pattern, it's shadow, because what she used to chase still lives in her somewhere. And the way she talks about it tells you who she used to be and who she's trying to become. But here's the real move. You're not just learning about her, you're forcing yourself to reflect. What have you outgrown? Desperation, chasing women who drained you, trying to prove yourself to girls who never saw your value. If those patterns still live in your nervous system, she'll feel it, no matter how confident you pretend to be. Because women don't just hear your answers, they feel your intent. That's why this question escalates the tension. It confronts the past, and it puts her in a position where she starts asking you about your evolution. Now you're not just leading the conversation, you're owning the emotional tempo. Most guys avoid these moments. They're afraid of being vulnerable or exposing the fact that they've changed. But here's the truth, my friend. Masculine power isn't about proving who you are. It's about calmly showing who you no longer need to be. And if she can't handle that honesty, she's not ready for a man who's done chasing. So keep your composure. Because the next question is where the game turns. Question 4. What's something you crave in bed, but only when you're with the right man? The energy has shifted. She's opened up. She's sharing more than she planned. But you're still calm, still centered, still watching. This is when most men would crack. They'd rush in, compliment her, lean forward, trying to turn emotional connection into sexual opportunity. But you pause, you wait. And then, with composure so grounded it's almost disarming, you ask, what's something you crave in bed, but only when you're with the right man? Say nothing after. Just let it breathe. Because this isn't about sex. It's about power. It's about presence. You're not asking what turns her on. You're asking what she only gives to a man who makes her feel safe, seen, submitted. And that's what hits different. Because now you've taken the conversation out of logic and into instinct. You've invited her into her feminine edge without asking her to perform, without chasing, without needing a reaction. And here's what most men don't get, my friend. The second you try to prove you're that guy, you're not. She knows. She can feel it. It's in your tone, in your breath, in your stillness. If you can ask this question with ease and hold her eye contact without blinking, you'll see it. She'll shift in her chair, touch her glass, look down and smile like she's remembering something. Not because of the words, but because of the man who asked them. The man who wasn't afraid of tension, the man who wasn't looking for permission to lead the moment, and the man who, if she played games, wouldn't be afraid to walk. This is the kind of power that doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be felt. And once it is, everything changes. Question 5. What type of woman feels like peace to you? By now, you've done something most men never do. You've moved the conversation from surface to sensual to stillness. And when a woman feels that stillness, she starts listening differently. So now you flip the polarity again. You hand her the mirror, but it's really for you. What type of woman feels like peace to you? It sounds like a soft question, but it's not. It's a test. Because peace isn't something women talk about on first dates. They talk about passion, chemistry, excitement. But peace, that's rare. And if she has no answer, or worse, if her version of peace looks like control, chaos, or drama disguised as fun, you'll know everything you need to know. Because you, my friend, aren't chasing noise anymore. You're not here for entertainment. You're not here to compete with the last guy who made her heart race and then disappeared. You're here for alignment, and this question brings it to the surface. Here's what makes it powerful. It filters emotional maturity. It reveals the version of masculinity she responds to, and it silently asks her, are you safe to lead, or do I need to protect myself from you too? This isn't a trick. It's not a game. It's clarity. Because for the man who's mastered his emotions, peace isn't negotiable. It's the foundation. And once she feels that's what you're filtering for, she either rises to meet it or quietly excuses herself from the conversation, emotionally or physically. Either way, you win. Because a man who knows what peace feels like won't entertain anything that costs it. Question 6. What kind of man brings out your best, and what kind makes you shut down? At this point, you've said more with your silence than most men say with 1,000 compliments. She's seen calm, she's felt pressure, she's tasted polarity. Now, you pull back the curtain. What kind of man brings out your best, and what kind makes you shut down? Say it softly, like you already know the answer, because you probably do. This question isn't just for insight, it's for exposure. Because how a woman responds tells you more than who she pretends to be. She might describe someone emotionally grounded, secure, calm, but then you ask yourself, is she showing up like a woman who attracts that kind of man, or is she still chasing the ones who trigger her chaos? Because let's be honest, my friend, most men never stop to look at what kind of energy they're pulling out of women. They just react, chase, adapt. But the man who can ask this question with intention, not insecurity, isn't looking to impress her. He's watching to see if she's emotionally safe to invest in. This moment reveals whether she's ready for leadership or still addicted to emotional stimulation. She might say, I open up when I feel seen. Good. But then, does she actually let herself be seen, or does she test, withdraw, manipulate? This is the final filter, the quiet moment that separates presence from performance. And if she leans in, if she answers with awareness, not blame, then maybe, just maybe, you've found a woman who can match your depth. But if she fumbles, blames, performs, you already know, because you didn't ask to test her. You asked to see if she's even capable of telling the truth to herself. And that's the kind of man she won't forget. Not because of what he said, but because of how he made her feel exposed, just by being still. By now, you've asked questions most men never even think of. You've shifted the energy. You've made her qualify herself. And the best part? You never had to chase. You never had to perform. You stayed calm, grounded, unmoved. And that, my friend, is what separates you from the rest. Because this isn't about tricks. It's not about saying the right things. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to be chosen because he knows he's the prize. Every question you asked came from clarity, not fear, from presence, not need. And when a woman feels that kind of energy, she doesn't forget it. She doesn't play with it. She either rises to meet it or backs away from what she knows she can't control. So don't just memorize these questions. Embody them. Speak like a man who's already whole, Look her in the eye like a man who's not afraid to walk away, and lead every moment like someone who doesn't just understand women. He understands himself. That's what makes you different.